Good morning, Monday morning. Glad to have you on. Let's begin with the pledge. I am smart. I am gifted. I am a learner. I am a scholar. I am preparing now for my future. I am the main ingredient in my success. Every lesson won't be easy. Every concept won't be learned the first time. I may get frustrated, but I won't give up and I won't quit. I will try. I will strive. I will thrive. I will achieve. I will succeed. For I am an example of excellence. Clap one time. All right. So you know where we began. We began by going over the work from this past week. Let's go to the Google Classroom. Our work from last week. If you remember, we were changing division problems into fractions. So let's read the problem again for those that forgot. The students went on a field trip. Okay, I'm gonna fix this. Looks like one of my squares went missing. 23 students went on field trips to 4 different science museums around San Francisco. The school provided submarine sandwiches for each student in each group. However, there was a mix-up and the wrong bags of the sandwiches were placed on the bus. When the students stopped for lunch, they discovered the mix-up. Here is the list of students and sandwiches for each location. So group 1 was at the Exploratorium. They had 5 students and 3 sandwiches. The California Academy of Science had 3 students, but they had 5 sandwiches. The San Francisco Zoo had 8 students and 7 sandwiches, and the Randall Museum had 7 students and 8 sandwiches. So the question asks, how did they share the sandwiches equally? Which is a question about division. How did they divide the sandwiches equally? And we talked on last week that the parts of a division problem, let's see if we can remember, the parts of a division problem are, you have a dividend, divided by a divisor. It's written other ways, so you could write it this way. You have a dividend divided by a divisor. And here's the last way you can write it. You can write it as a fraction, where the dividend then becomes the numerator, and the divisor then becomes the denominator. So when you read a question like, how many parts of each sandwich does each student get? You're dividing the sandwiches divided by the students. Wow, you see that? So you're dividing the sandwiches divided by the students. So let's see what that looks like on our paper. So we have, hold on, let me turn my notifications off. We have the number of students, and we have the number of sandwiches. And we just said that in this case, we're dividing the number of sandwiches divided by the number of students. That's how we're solving this. So let's look at the first one. The first one, we have 3 sandwiches divided by 5 students. That equals 3/5. Great job. The second one, we have 5 sandwiches divided by 3 students. Wow, we learned that that's a fraction greater than 1. So if we were to make that a mixed number, then that would be 1 and 2/3. 1 2/3. So either one of those answers is correct. Next, we have the San Francisco Zoo, where we have 7 sandwiches divided among 8 students, 7/8. And finally, we have 8 sandwiches divided among 7 students, which is 8/7. Now, 8/7 is a fraction greater than 1, so we can change that into a mixed number. That will be 1 and 1/8. Very good. So do you understand the process? Well, one of the best ways to discover if we really understand it is by flipping it the other way. By flipping it. So doing the reverse in order to see how well we understand the concept. So to review this concept today, we're going to go back to our screen, back to our dry erase board. So let's just review. The 3 ways to write a division problem is this way, which is in sentence form almost. Dividend divided by divisor equals, and you know, this part over here is called the quotient. All right, or you can write it this way with the house, as the old school teacher used to say, where you have the dividend inside the house, the divisor outside the house, and sitting on the roof of the house is the quotient. And finally, you can write it as a fraction, where the fraction ends up being the dividend as numerator over the divisor as denominator. That's beautiful. And that's how you can write it. So in today's lesson, or last week's homework, what we used was sandwiches and students. We had a certain number of sandwiches that had to be divided by a certain number of students. Anytime you see divided by, whatever is in front of the divided by or before the divided by ends up being the dividend. And then you're dividing it by the divisor. So the divisor is the amount of times you're breaking up that dividend. So this time we use sandwiches and students. For your assignment tonight, you are going to write a situation. What's the situation? Well, we've done it before. Let me see if I can remind you. We've done a situation before. A situation is a story problem. It's a story that describes in words the equation. This equation is 5 divided by 6 equals 5/6. So if you remember what we did with the sandwiches, in fact, particularly the first sandwich, we had 3 sandwiches that we had to divide amongst 5 students, which meant that each student received 3/5 of a sandwich. In other words, we had 3 sandwiches that we had to divide amongst 5 students. So every student received 3/5 of a sandwich. So I want you to use your creative imaginations. I want you to creatively tell me what this equation means in words. Tell me a story that describes what this equation is stating so that we can understand it. And we're going to probably read a few on Wednesday or next week. You have until Friday to get this assignment done. I am so excited that we're getting to do this. When we come back on Wednesday, we're going to take this information, this practice, and we're going to use it to divide or choose how many pieces of candy we will give out for students at their birthday party. That is Wednesday's work, but tonight I want you to focus on this. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.